Hey, I'm sorry. Give me a second. Okay, so this is a potential series. I do want to finish it, but I guess I'll start each time individually. Individually? I will try to finish this. I'm not sure if I want to do it or what, right? But I'll give my personal patch notes like I would like to see in the game for each champion. Now, additionally, no, not additionally, sorry. What I wanted to say is I'm biased. I don't want anyone to think for a second that I'm not biased. I am 100% biased, as you can see from the champions I do play and do not play. Well, except for a few, you'll see that I favor tanks and supports. I actually do not like tanks, but I'm pretty good with playing tanks, so a lot of times I tend to favor a lot of tanks, as you can see. Usually I prefer bruisers or bruiser style tanks. So, for example, as you see, Leoric, Diablo, Arthas, Mal'Ganis. Johanna would be the exception. I actually played her before the new rework. I don't like the new rework as much, but I guess she's fine. So, but unlike tanks, I actually do like playing supports. I don't love them, they're not my favorites. I usually prefer to play bruisers, but I'm very good with supports, so I play supports. That's the first thing I want to say. I am biased, and you will see that I do have a biased opinion. So, I don't want this to be any type of question whether I am or not. And you'll see for a lot of champions, that I'll rip them to shreds because I just hate playing against them. And yeah, that might not be the most professional. But even though I am biased, I will try to keep a level headed play to all of these. My first goal and my most goal is to make champions more fun. That's what I want to do. More fun and more balanced overall. In my opinion, balancing a lot of time comes to meta, especially in Heroes of the Storm. So you really don't need to like buff too many of these champions. So balance. I mean, all the time, right? Because meta changes. So my foremost goal is to make them more well-rounded, so they can fit into specific meta. For example, when I go into Ragnaros, you'll see I am planning to rework him. That I want to make him more well-rounded, fit into a meta, because that's what balancing Heroes of the Storm is. Of course, if the game was balanced more often, like the Legends, it would be much better, but it's not. So I want to take the same approach that Blizzard might will, and balance it around a meta, and make it well-rounded rather than actually good or bad. That's the first approach. The second, I want to make things more fun. If you'll see, Anduin just got a massive rework, and if I go through his talents, you can kind of see that he has a W build, but not really, right? The W build isn't even picked fully. You go into specific talents at each level. So, for example, like Pro Play, they would go into this one, the Enhanced Blessing, then level 2, Piercing Light, level 3, Desperate Prayer, but then they will go for like W move speed, and like this level 16 actually varies. They usually go for the second charge because that's the best, but if you're not playing like the highest pro level, then all of these are actually good. And yeah, so it's not really a W build, but the best part is you can kind of mix and match, which it's fine, but it's not as fun in my opinion. I would like to actually see 2 to 3 builds. So, for example, if I look at sorry, give me a second. If I look, for example, at someone like Kel'Thas, you could see very clearly that there's 2 builds, but kind of like a third one. So there's a Q build with obviously Mana Addict first talent. You could go Conviction, but too risky. I almost never recommend it, but you can. Then level 4 Netherwind, I think. I was confused the two, but I trust that if I hearted this one, that means it's the better one. But I guess both of them are good. Yeah, it's the range. So yeah, this is the better one. Then Burned Flesh. Pyromaniac. Then you actually go Ignite, but you could go Fury of the Sunwell. Ignite is just better overall, if that makes any sense. Cause this has the potential to deal more damage, but Ignite overall is the better talent because the amount of time you're actually using it makes it more damage in the long run than something like Fury of the Sunwell, where you're not going to hit it too many times. But if you can reliably hit it, then Fury of the Sunwell is definitely better, obviously. So, and Flamethrower, actually, all these are good. But then there's also the W build, right? You go for Fury of the Sun King, then you go for the Radius Explosion Fission Bomb, and either Ignite or Twin Sphere. I think Twin Sphere is also really good in this build. You get this one, which is not as good. If this one was better, then Twin Sphere would actually be really, really good. But the fact that this one is bad just doesn't make it as good. So yeah, you kind of get it, and then here you could go for whatever. There's two builds, kind of. It's not the best example, but I'm sure there's champions that are more specifically multiple builds. Like Tassadar is honestly the best example. There's a Q build, there's a W build, and there's a passive build. Or more specifically, there's a burst damage build, hit and run build with W, or more split pushing build with W, and passive is like the sustained damage build. Because the talents don't exactly go into the abilities. I don't want to give too many examples, but yeah, they don't go specifically to the ability, they go into the idea overall, which is, in my opinion, better than going specifically into the ability. That's stuff I like. In my opinion, this should be more of this. Right? I hate it that there's a lot of times just like the one talent, which is just better overall than the other talent on the same tier. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I want to do. I want champions more well-rounded, but also balanced. I do want to balance them. So that's it. Fun, balanced, and more well-rounded overall. So there, a lot of times like you want to rework a champion so it will be easier to balance in the future. That's also a potential, but because Blizzard don't usually do that, and I'm not gonna go into that approach either. And yeah, I watch a lot of competitive play, but I'm also very I have also played kind of in a competitive environment. I played in Heroes Lounge. I actually think I did pretty well, and my teammates agreed, but we as a team didn't do as good. So I don't want this to be my qualification. I think I'm more qualified in the sense that I understand the game and its core level more because I watch a lot of competitive play. But also, the balance needs to be both-sided. It cannot be purely for competitive play. So, I'll go alphabetically, obviously. And I'll reach the end with Zorgin. So, I'm not sure how I want to do this. I think I'll go with 3 champions each time, or depending on the time. Because, for example, some of these are going to be very little buffs. Some of these I have no idea what to do with. And some of these are going to be like full reworks. Like Ragnaros, I pretty much want to completely ground up rework him. And that might be a bit controversial, but that's what I want to do. So I'll start with Amathur, and yeah. Okay, so Amathur I do not have too much problem with. In my opinion, the biggest problem with Amathur actually has multiple problems. A, they kind of removed a lot of the fun from him. If you remember beforehand, it used to be a lot of fun with his builds. In my opinion, now the builds are just a little more dry. Like, you have kind of W build, if you'll see, but then not really. You have kind of a utility build, but then not really. The only actual build you really have that is a full build is W build. And I guess split push build, which is really bad. It's only good if like if you play on a very low, and if you play into a quick match and you can reliably go to different lanes, push and cause some trouble, because people just don't have good decision making. But other than that, he's a bad split pusher. So unlike Murky or even the Lost Vikings, he can't create too much pressure. He can't give you XP, which is the idea of him, but it's not enough for it to be worth it. In team fights, he has a very low presence, except when he uses Ultimate Evolution. Even then, it's not too big. So he feels like he doesn't really fit into a role, which is the biggest problem with him. So either you make him into a good split pusher as a viable champion, or make his presence in team fight better. I know that's very controversial because Amathur is very good in niche positions, which is why he's in buffed a lot. In the niche positions that he is good, he is a nightmare to deal with. So I don't want to buff his utility. I just want to have him. He should have more presence. How do you do this? I'm honestly not too sure. Some of the ideas I've had is that he can control his own locusts, or that he could spawn locusts in more specific situations, or that teleporting has more of a presence. Either one would honestly work. The other one is that he gets his monstrosity baseline, but it's massively reduced in combat power and everything. In addition, he could switch in. He could control it with a different button instead of using his if you go into a game, then you have to use your symbiote right on it, and then it has a 4-second cooldown, which is why it's so bad. This is honestly why monstrosity is kind of terrible. But if you could control it with a different button, without having to waste his symbiote, then that would not only give him more things to do at the same time, like go into a fight, symbiote someone, blah, 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 then immediately go out, take your monstrosity, teleport the monstrosity, place some nests, and like keep positions, go back into the fight, do this dance routine. In addition, like obviously you need a lot of times what you want to do with Amathur is when there's a team fight, go deep into the lane. Don't even care if you show yourself, spawn locusts further up, collect more XP, create some problems. If they send someone back, you could easily symbiote one of your allies. You're now at an advantage, right? So it's good either way, no matter what you do. But if he has no monstrosity as a baseline, it could give him more presence in a split pushing. Also allows him to go with the monstrosity into team fights, plus symbiote someone at the same time. Obviously, he has to macro both of them, which will be hard. But that's even better. So having monstrosity as a baseline would be so cool. And he's even missing one of these like base abilities, so it's not that even that hard to fit in. It would honestly be super cool if he could do that. And then in addition, he could have one of his other level 10 abilities as a utility ability. Right now, you go into a game with your buddy. He's a Illidan player, right? And you wreak havoc. You absolutely wreak havoc. You go on him, you 1v1, you 2v2, you completely wreak havoc. You could completely dip certain fights, and the enemy team will never expect it coming, or allow Illidan to just dive into towers. It's annoying. It's not only annoying, it's a really, really good combo. Everyone knows the Illidan Amathur combo. Really good. What's the problem now? You reach level 10, and you're like, fuck, what do I do? If I go this, I have to macro this, I have to keep it in fight, I have to let it stack, and I cannot do both of these. Because remember, 4-second cooldown on your symbiote, you cannot symbiote both of them at the same time. This sucks. This is terrible. Never go involved Zarston. You could spawn it once in a while, maybe it will deal a bit of damage to the tower, better than nothing, honestly. Because if you take Ultimate Evolution, you just can't use it. I mean, you can't. And your body would just yell at you, and like, fuck, you just ruined my team fight. It is sometimes better overall to use Ultimate Evolution in team fights than being on your buddy Illidan. But he's not gonna be very happy about it. So honestly, if we had like another ultimate, maybe a utility-based ultimate for those specific combos, I know exactly that this would be overpowered, or even more annoying than it already is, because Amathur is already overpowered. So maybe reduce some of his power elsewhere, but the other ultimate could be a utility based ultimate. Um, Especially with lack of communication, if it's not like, if you're not talking on Discord or in team chat or something, right? And you have lack of communication, going at a symbiote could seriously fuck him up. Let's just change my language, but yeah, so having something else as an ultimate would be really cool. So honestly, Evolve Monstrosity as a baseline. In a different fashion, I would also like to W and E build be more of their own build. Right now, they're kind of sprinkled around in some talents, and they don't really combine together to be really well. What you could do with this is maybe have some more talents that really make it its own build, if that makes any sense, right? Um, I don't know if I could think of specifics right like at this moment. Maybe have bonus damage talent W level 4 or something like this, or remove the Q talent, add it to W or something like that, right? And then level 13, maybe make it a percentage of the damage, so they combine really well together, and maybe even the damage, maybe the talent deals like more damage the more champions you hit. That could be really cool. Having like a combination, right? Or maybe this could decrease it per champion hit as well, so really they combine well together. Something like that, right? Then maybe you had like another talent on level 4 or level. No, level 7 there's already is one, level maybe 13 that massively increases the healing on your carapace. You see what I'm going with. More talents that make it its own build, because right now there's push build and there's W build, and then there's the random talents you usually take that is actually the good build. Why do I have this favorite? This is actually the good talent. You see what I mean? Yeah, if you see my actual talents, more sprinkled around abilities, the talents, they don't combine together at all. Because that's just the best talents you could go for, honestly. The only one that do synergize is level 1 and level 13. Those are the only ones that do. So, alright, let's go with Alera. Alera is an interesting specimen. He's one of my favorite champions to play, and one of my least favorite to play against. And most people agree. He's a lot of fun. But god damn it, do I hate playing against him. I thought of some ideas that might make him more fun. More fun to play against, sorry. I should specify that. One of them is, you know, his W is instant? I know this would be very controversial, but what if it wasn't? Like, it had a little like, just a couple of, just a bit, really a bit, where you could see the ability before it goes off. Just add a little counterplay to it. It is so annoying to play against a good Alera player, because there is no counterplay. So what if there was? But in to make it rewarding for the Alera player, if he does catches you, it also slows you or something, right? Add a little bit more play to it. In addition, I would really like for his ability, his builds to be, once again, have a bit more synergy to them. Right now, there are two builds that synergize together. That's the E build, and then the sorry, give me a second. The E build and the Q auto attack build. There is like a kind of Q build, but it doesn't really go well together. You see, these like both abilities are basic attack based, but Q basic attack based, right? Because I'm not sure if this works against slowed enemy. Does it? It does work against slowed enemy, so you don't have to Q. You could take the level 7 talent, and this works with that, right? But this heavily favors using Q and auto attacks. Both of these are. Which is not a problem. If you want to make the Q build a basic attack build as well, then I'd like to see that. I'd like for that to be the case. And so once again, specific changes. A lot of times when it comes to like talents, you see that I don't have very specific decisions, but when it comes to the baseline, I have very specific ideas how to change that. That's just because changing something baseline to make the champions better overall is easier to me. And talents, they matter a lot, but yeah, I really want to make them more well-rounded. A lot of times, like, my ideas would be better for the champion instead of balance, but it would make the talents less interesting. So I don't want to give any concrete ideas. So let's say you actually do want Q build to be an also basic attack build. This is already a really good ability. I think it's attack speed. I'd like for this to be attack damage instead, because attack speed really doesn't make too much sense. I mean, it does. Maybe it could be both, like 20% attack speed, 20% attack damage. Could be interesting. In addition, this could also be much more interesting if this talent, instead of being duration based, is disabled based, just like the level 16 talent. This one? Not this one, I think. Yeah, this one's also duration based. So this could be like disabled based. So if you attack disabled champions, this grants the bonuses. Instead of being after hitting a Q, because it pushes you into a little bit of a strain. Is that the right word? It kind of. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. Makes you really not forced, but like it lingers on your thought. It lingers on your thought that I have to auto attack after Q, right? It's not as wow, what am I saying? Come on, forget that. Why this is also cool if it like was disable based is that there are talents that favor that. Like this one increases the silence duration, this one goes slow. This should be two different talent tiers if I want to actually go for this. So I'll give my changes later. Right, okay, so this one is now disabled based. This will give the bonuses if the champion is disabled instead, but this might also increase. Yeah, maybe this could be like the level 7 talent would just passively be for this one, or these are combined, but it reduces your sadism just like this talent. So it reduces sadism by 10%, but it gives you slow after W plus silence duration is increased. Maybe it combos into each other. So if you push champion in and then Q him, it increases the silence duration. That would be really cool. So it is incentivized like comboing. Yeah, that would be really cool actually. Then level 4 Chaos Rings. I always thought this talent is kind of stupid. Hitting 3 champions is way too luck dependent. I mean, if you're really good, then you can maybe consistently do it, but even then, not consistently enough. A lot of times you see people just go Show Force because it's more consistent. So, this is the change I would make. 15 heroes, this part of the talent stays the same. The 2 hero changes. You have to hit 2 heroes, let's say like 5 times to get the bonus. I know this makes it a little more further down the line, but the reason it is changed is because the third part is going to be massively easier. So this the third reward is completely changed. Now you have to hit a champion with your Q and then auto attack him to like 10 times or something like that to get the third part reward. Maybe they could also split the power between the second tier and third tier. So second tiers are now 60, increase that to 70 or something like that, then reduce this to 90. Something like that. Or 80-80, right? So it's much easier to consistently get all three of them, but they're more down the line. So, in my opinion, this is balanced. It's the same bonus you get, it's just split across. Show of Force, I'd honestly think I'd keep the same, but I would like for for sadism talents to be more spread, because this is like the sadism build. If you go for Show of Force, it's the sadism build. You're building sadism. So I'd like for other sadism talents to be sprinkled around. If you want to see a full rework of Anorak around these changes, I can do that. It just takes more thought process. Right now I'm just suggesting for the Q build, right? Because having to spread more sadism talents takes a lot of consideration to make it balanced. Level 13, I'd honestly spread these talents around, if that makes any sense. So I actually don't really know what I want to put to level 13. Maybe, the silence talent could be a level 13 if they're not combo. That, in my opinion, the combo is the best option. And level 16, maybe you could combine these two talents. This might be way too overpowered, but like a version combined of both these talents, or completely change the way Mocking Strike works. Maybe you could put Mocking Strike earlier, but it's less good. I'm honestly not sure about this talent. I might need to think about this one for longer. But Lethal Onslaught, the way I changed this to be disable based, so the bonus is now against disabled champions instead of having to be duration based. So it synergizes better with other talents that, once again, do need to be sprinkled around. I'm not sure exactly how, but would be cool to see. And then level 20, in my opinion, Anorak has some of the laughable level 20 talents. I mean, if you go early game for Deadly Strike, then Counter Strike is good, obviously, is a level 20 talent, but you want to take Counter Strike. If you already take Counter Strike, then you probably don't want Deadly Charge, and even if you do, the other two level 20s are laughable. Pun intended. What I'd actually do, maybe Mocking Strike could be a level 20 talent, honestly. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Mocking Strike would be like a level 20 talent. That could be kind of cool. And I'm thinking, because in my opinion, the thing about level 20 talent, these should be the most fun, but kind of absurd talents. Like the talents you'd think, that's too overpowered, but it's a level 20 talent, so it's okay. That's just the way I like them in level 20 talents. For example, like, I love the, which guy is it? Nazebo? Where is he? The Nazebo level 20 talent. This one, Violent Infection. It is so absurdly overpowered, but I just love it. It's so much fun. So, yeah, that could be kind of cool. I want something kind of absurd. Because these are just boring level 20 talents. Sure, they have, like, a disadvantage, but that's not the way you want your level 20 talents. You come to your level 20, this should be, like, the most powerful state you are in. You shouldn't feel restricted. I mean, I guess that it's more fun this way, but not really. I'm pretty sure most people would agree. So I'd like something more fun. Maybe even something a little absurd. Like, what if the Rite of Rakshir was a level 20 talent, but instead of having to target champions, this whole risk versus massive reward part that Rite of Rakshir has, it could be like a level 20 talent and it always procs, so it basically gives you an infinite amount of sadism. And yeah, that would be kind of absurd, I get it. But it's a level 20 talent. You know, so that's the Alera changes. If you want to see a more concrete version of this, I might actually do that. I might just do that overall. Like, I might just want to do a concrete rework, mini rework of Alera. Just because that would be kind of fun. Alex Straza is one of my highest, if not my highest champion. I actually do think she's my highest champion. And I think my highest playtime. Yep, most games played, so you could see that I really like Alex Straza, but let's be honest. I play her for one specific reason. I'm not gonna say what that is, but yeah, when it comes to actual talent, she's kind of crap. I get what they were going for, honestly. Like, with her baseline, she's kind of supposed to be this Soraka-like risk versus reward healer, but she lacks anything concrete. She's incredibly broken in quick matches or unranked, but then if you go to like high competitive level, like Heroes Lounge, just like if like the one tier, I don't know how the tier was, right? It's first tier, right? Yeah. There's also a thing on S tier, right? So, sorry, I haven't. So if you go to like the highest tiers, like the first or S tier, then she's not really that good, right? Because actually she's okay. She can be played. It's just she's not as good as the others. So what I'd like to see is a little bit more of this risk versus reward style. So the way I change it is I'll make Flame Buffet uh, either really wider width to it, because right now it's very small. I'd like for it to be wider width. Does that make any sense? So the projectile would have a bigger hitbox. That's what I mean. Or maybe even like a cone. So like Golden Q, Fell Flame. You know, it's in a cone. Kind of like that, maybe. And the way it works is, I think the mana part is kind of bullshit. Honestly, I'd completely change the way this works. Sorry, I'm thinking. I'm not. No, maybe the mana part could stay. I'm not sure if I like the way that this works right now. Yeah, okay, so the slow should always be a part of this. I don't think it should only apply second hit. I'd say the slow is always a part of this. I'm not sure if I like the mana idea or not. I guess it doesn't really matter, but then I'd make it so it also heals you, right? So hitting champions heals you, but then Gift of Life costs more health, and Abundance also costs a bit of health. But maybe Abundance could also give you a heal over time while in the area. I don't know, because right now the problem with Abundance is you put it down, then every enemy knows target all your abilities in that area, right? What you usually want to do, if you're a bit good at communication, then you wait for the cooldown for it to almost end, and then you go in for like a split second, get the burst to heal, and get out. I see a couple of fixes for this, but honestly, I think the best one is just reduce the duration, but make it cost health. So you're really dependent on your E, right? Your flame buffet. You want to hit those a lot, so it's kind of a little more risk reward style, and the talents could definitely reflect this. So the quest, instead of reducing dragons thing by 5 seconds, pretty terrible. The quest reward could be increase the travel speed or increase the healing you get, or maybe even a combination of both travel speed and healing you require. Then this could maybe not increase the slow to 50%. Definitely make sure it doesn't decay, but also give you like a move speed boost, right? You like hit peak champions and you get a move speed boost. So you want to kind of go in, out with your E to get the heal going on, so you can spam more healing buffs, right? Then another E talent could. Yeah, so this probably needs to go. She definitely needs a cleanse. I'd actually give her some kind of a cleanse. You know how, which one is this? This one, Life Unbound. Uh, yeah, this is not that good. I'd change it to be like a small heal. Like the heal stays the same. Cooldown needs to already be 30 seconds or maybe even 60 seconds. But like it removes it's a cleanse. Either it acts like a normal, just remove root stuns, slows, silences, and stuff like that, or actually give you like unstoppable frames. Doesn't have to be a whole second. Any kind of unstoppable frame would work. But like the no, maybe the cooldown is like 90 seconds or 100 seconds, but gets reduced when you hit your E or something. Sorry, I have allergies. Sucks. This is not COVID, I promise. Let's see, that could be kind of cool. I don't think she needs a lot more CC than this. I think this is already good. But then you could change the way that other talents work. Because right now, I'm pretty much hitting the E talents. I think more E talents would be kind of cool. Having like a full E build. So that would be your more survivability build. Maybe you could have like a Q build where it reduces the health cost, so it costs less health. Um, but cooldown is still really high, so remove this talent. Maybe this talent could exist. So it will be less risky build, but more reward build. That could work much more in competitive play, right? So that could be one of your other builds you could go for. I think she should also have some kind of utility build. I always thought that it's kind of cool that Malfurion can restore mana, and I definitely think other champions should have something on the lines of restoring mana. I thought of a really cool idea that like one of her abundance talents, like maybe level 16, reduces shield mana cost from allies. That would be super cool. Or like one of the E talents, like maybe again level 16 E talent is it increases enemy mana cost. Because honestly, there isn't a champion right now. There is supposed to be an anti spam mana. Because mana is such a weird idea in this game. It honestly almost shouldn't exist. I'm saying almost because they never utilize it. The idea of mana is that it minimalizes. It's supposed to hinder your ability to spam abilities if you have low ability cooldowns based on your level. So some champions utilize it pretty cool. For example, Kel'Thas utilizes kinda cool. I'm saying kinda, it's still not good. In League of Legends, for example, it's an actual stat. You can increase it, you can do stuff with it. There's items that build specifically foreign champions that utilize it specifically. That's why Rise works in League of Legends. But take the exact same character, put him in Heroes of the Storm, and it would just kind of be weird. Why not just increase his spell power over level, right? Because there is no other way to add mana. So it's basically just a level thing, right? But because Kel actually has like a quest that gives him more mana, it's kind of cool. So early game you can't spam as much abilities, but then late game you can just spam his abilities. But for the most part, I just think, why not just change the way the cooldown reduction works? So high cooldown reduction early game, so it hinders the amount of spells you can spam in the early game, but then give less cooldown reduction late game. It works on a very similar idea. The only thing that isn't is that if you have low cooldowns, high mana, you could have like this idea of resource management, right? You want to choose when you want to spend your abilities, but then don't spend them later. So, example, someone like Li Ming, old Rhaegar. Right now, Rhaegar actually has multiple ways to restore mana, so it's not really hindering. But the way the old Rhaegar worked was, so you want to wait, like choose your moments carefully when you actually want to spam your abilities. But for the most part, it's not used. Many champions just don't utilize this at all, or when they do, it's a very bad utilization of the stat. So what if Alexstrasza? So what if more champions had something to actually like relate to mana? So for example, if you have Malfurion on a team, that allows champions with low cooldowns, high mana cost to spam better, more abilities. Or once again, if you have Alexstrasza against you, then that hinders you from spamming abilities. You don't change the cooldown reduction, you change the mana. Once again, if actually Blizzard utilizes mana as a stat more often, then it would make it good. Actually, how mana should be handled. So, that could be really cool. Something like more hindering and more utility based talents. And once again, if you want a full, I might also make a full rework out of this. The same idea. So yeah, that was what I would do to Alexstrasza. Just make her more interesting to play. So that's the 3 champions for today. I'm not gonna edit this because I just don't feel like it.